Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. It is December the 10th. There is plenty going on and it's a crazy time of year, right? It's interesting. It really is interesting because this time of year obviously is meant to be the happiest time of the year. You know, a lot of joy, a lot of happiness, a lot of positivity, a lot of merry, presents and holidays and families getting together. But unfortunately, there is also a lot of overwhelm. A lot of people are overwhelmed at this time of year, particularly parents, and even more specifically, mums. Now, that's not to say people without kids aren't feeling the same way. Absolutely. Like I've had several conversations over the last couple of weeks with individuals, clients, and just individuals who are feeling overwhelmed. And it's because there's so much going on. Obviously you've got to maintain your job. So your job is still there. You're trying to obviously manage your week in terms of everything that you would normally do. But then thrown on top of that is all the other commitments that come along with Christmas, whether it's shopping, whether it's kids' activities, kids' events, end of school stuff, Christmas shopping, Christmas Day, cooking, presents, social events like, a work function or a Christmas lunch or a Christmas party. And then you've got obviously other, family members coming and visiting, and maybe you're hosting Christmas Day and you've got to prepare for that, and it just becomes a lot. And I get it. I absolutely get it. Like I've experienced it firsthand. I've got 3 kids. My wife obviously is amazing when it comes to doing this sort of stuff, but I still have to do my fair share, and it does feel overwhelming because I'm still running a business, and many people are also in a similar boat. So I wanted to talk today about how to potentially manage that, firstly a little bit better, but also not sacrifice your own health and fitness because of the overwhelm, or at least manage the overwhelm better so you get the best of both worlds and you come out in January in a strong position ready to tackle what is in front of you. Because the whole New Year's resolution thing basically was developed on the fact that people would stop training in December, they would stop eating properly in December, they would basically overindulge in December. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your choice, that's your choice. But then you would roll out of December into January, you'd feel sluggish, you'd feel overwhelmed, you'd feel, maybe lack of motivation, all these sorts of things. And then, with that comes a challenge of getting back into it. And that challenge of getting back into it is effectively the New Year's resolution. So it is difficult, but it can be avoided by specifically managing your December a lot better. So how do you manage December? Well, firstly, preparation and planning is key, right? And we know that. But we know for a fact, because it's been researched heavily, that energy produces energy. So by reducing your activity levels or the output, in terms of your training, your walking, your exercise, whatever that may be, can obviously diminish your ability to produce energy. Therefore, you'll feel more sluggish, you'll feel more lethargic, you'll feel more fatigue, and obviously with your ability to manage December and given the heightened energy that's required and potential stress and anxiety and all these things, it becomes more challenging because you don't have as much energy to rely on. It's sort of almost simple maths, right? So how do you do that? How do you not sacrifice your training to fall victim to obviously the overwhelm of what's in front of you in December? Well, rather than putting it to the side and actually just stopping it, which is what a lot of people do, why not manipulate the situation and look at the weeks ahead and go, okay, I normally train 4 days a week and I normally train for about an hour at a time. Why not scale that back and try and train maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes even, because you'll still feel incredibly satisfied. Mentally, you'll feel vindicated, even if you get in for half an hour. Get a session done. Compress that session. Do lots of supersets. Shorten your rest periods. Put more effort and emphasis into getting in and getting it done in a quicker space of time. Don't talk to anybody. Put your headphones on. Really focus and get those sessions in, because that is going to not only generate satisfaction for you and work really well in favor of your mental health, it's going to produce the energy that you need to get on with everything else that you've got during the day. We know that, when you've got a heightened level of activity, you've got a heightened level of energy. When you've got a heightened level of energy, you're going to be more organized. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to think more clearly. You're going to have more energy, which will rub off on all of your family members. We know that kids can feel the energy of our parents. And if you're feeling flat and lethargic and stressed and overwhelmed, well, guess what? Your kids are going to feel that too. But if you are still prioritizing your health, it's going to maintain momentum and it's going to maintain motivation. And if you can sustain that through December, even if it's at a reduced rate, a reduced output, your January is going to look so much better. Have you ever taken a couple of weeks off, going away on holiday, haven't exercised, and then you've tried to get back in exercise into your regular training? It's really difficult. It's an uphill battle because that momentum, that adaptation that you've created, where your body is so used to training, it's recovering really well off the back of that, you're sleeping really well, and then you stop it for a period of time. Firstly, you generally yearn for it and you miss it. But secondly, getting back into it can be really challenging. And that's what happens in December for a lot of people. They pull the pin on exercise, they take a back seat with their nutrition, and then they say, oh, look, I'll worry about it in January. And look, if that is your decision and that's what you want to do with strategy in place to do it, go for it. All the power to you. But if you're really concerned about it, rather than just pulling the pin on exercise altogether, look at another way to manage it. Shorten your session periods. Maybe get up earlier. Maybe it's a better opportunity for you to get up a little bit earlier, go do a session there. Maybe you train at home for a couple of weeks. There's plenty of opportunity. If you're a client of mine, you know that I've got home workouts and bodyweight workouts and things like that. Maybe that's something you do. Maybe you train in the evenings. Maybe you train on the weekends rather than the weekdays. Maybe you go from 4 sessions to 3 sessions. Maybe you go from 4 sessions to 2 sessions and then include a couple of additional walks. There's so many ways to manage this and not deprioritize your fitness journey. And that's the thing that a lot of people do. For some reason, we tend to put it as it's not a necessity, it's not a non-negotiable, it's just a maybe. And unfortunately, that can have ramifications in terms of all the things I just said. But if you want to manage December to the best of your ability and be present and be accounted for, and obviously get on top of everything and get through your lists and make sure that you're shopping at the right time and you're sleeping well and you're managing stress well, keep up your exercise. Now, granted, you may come back to me and go, Paul, I just don't have time. I physically don't have time to do it. Well, that's okay. That is okay. I spoke about this the other week. I think I put it up on a social, that more often than not, the biggest commitments over the December period is Christmas Day, is New Year's Eve, is Christmas Eve, and then maybe one or two more events, social events. Might be a Christmas party or work party or family party or whatever. So there's 5 or 6 days out of 31 days. So there's going to be plenty of days where you don't have as much on as you expected, but you still feel overwhelmed. But if you plan ahead and look at your calendar and write down everything that you need to do, you can break it down over several days and get it done and still prioritize yourself. That's the key here. So use list management as a way to manage things. Make sure that you can stay on top of things. When I was and people will laugh at this, I used to be a travel agent many, many, many years ago. And one valuable piece of learnings that I took from that job was how to manage time, because as a travel agent, you've got so many things going on at once, particularly when you've got a storefront. So they had a management system where each day you would write down obviously the list of non-negotiables that you had to get done, or list of priorities that you get done, and you'd break that down into category A, B, and C. Category A was things that you had to do that day, irrespective of anything else. No excuse, you had to do it in category A. Category B, it was a case of, look, it needs to be done, but it's not as important as category A. So if you get through category A, you start to work through category B. Category C was more a case of, look, it has to get done, but it doesn't have to get done today. It can get pushed over to tomorrow or the next day, depending on where your priorities sit. And that's how you need to look at your December. Look at each day. Actually break down the day rather than wasting time here and there. It's amazing how much grey space or white space or whatever color it is that people have in a day, because their day is not broken down and formulated. And I know some people don't operate that way, and that's fine. That's okay. But you can maximize time and efficiency through certainly planning ahead and being more organized. As I said before, if you're still training and exercising and producing that energy, you're going to manage time a lot better. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to get things done a lot more clearly and a lot more efficiently. And you're also going to think more clearly. And there's nothing worse than having this cloud over your head where you just can't think clearly. Things get jumbled up. You make poor decisions. Maybe you're irritable as well. You're fatigued. You're emotionally eating. All these things can come out when you haven't been exercising anywhere near as much as you regularly would have. So you can see how important it is to continue to prioritize that and make sure that in some capacity you are still touching base with the gym or doing some form of activity to firstly clear your mind and maintain a high level of mental health, but secondly, produce energy, make yourself feel good, and continue to maintain a regime through December and manage it accordingly. It's not perfect. And, what works for one person may not work for the other. And this is just me giving you an overarching perspective. Like, one person might go, look, I can only train 2 days a week. Great. Do that. Fantastic. Maximize those 2 sessions and train like an animal. Other person will go, look, I can do 4 days, but I've got to reduce it down to 30 minutes. Cool. Absolutely. Go hard in those 30 minutes and maximize what you can. Others will say, look, I can't through the week, but maybe on Saturday and Sunday I can get in some sessions. All the power to you. Do it. 100%. This is the way you need to move forward. We need to manipulate. We need to pivot. We need to manage our days accordingly. We don't have to stick to the regime that worked for us throughout the year. We can change. Change is okay. I know it's hard, but it is okay. So don't be afraid to manipulate your December to suit your needs. In terms of diet, in terms of nutrition, I literally spoke to a client today who said in previous years they would just relinquish all control and just overindulge every single day at every opportunity and not have any focus or direction. Now, they're so much more focused, they're a lot more adherent, they're a lot more regimented, and they're loving it because they feel so good. And that sort of supports the training side of things, right? It's all well and good to keep your training regime up, but if you're feeding your body with rubbish, then you're still going to feel quite sluggish, right? You're not going to sleep well. You're going to have weight fluctuations. You're going to feel bloated. Like, all these things can be a byproduct of that. Whereas if you have more focus on your nutrition, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be tracked all the time, but at least a more mindful and awareness approach around it, you're going to, again, come out the other side and be in a really strong position. Maintain your weight, maintain your strength, maintain your acumen around nutrition and fitness and your general health. It's a win-win. It really is. And like I said, there may only be 5 or 6 days where there is, a plethora of food and alcohol available. The rest of the time, it's probably you making choices towards that rather than it just being a normal day. And it doesn't have to overindulge. Now, granted, again, I go back to my original point. If you want to overindulge and enjoy it for what it is and then just deal with it after the fact in January, go for it. All the power to you. If that's your decision, that's your decision. At the end of the day, we are very much adults, and we make decisions based on our knowledge, our understanding, our direction, and that is okay. That is not a problem. But if you want a little bit more clarity and you want to manage it just that little bit better, then the objective is simple. Just go in with a plan. Have some structure. Have some focus. Talk to a coach. Maybe you want to do it with a buddy or a partner or someone like that to support each other and just make it that little bit easier for yourself. All these sorts of things can lend to you having a more successful period. And guess what? If you get through December and you're really happy with how you've come out the other side into January, that's your template for the following year. That's your precedent. That is how you do it, and you stick to that. And then you go into the following December in such a strong position because you know what you need to do. Or there may be some little improvements or tweaks that you need to make, but that's a good thing. As we get older, we tend to not overindulge anywhere near as much over Christmas time, right? Because we just get older and we've got other priorities. But it still is very much available to us. We've got younger families. We might have kids and grandkids. So it's always going to be there. That period of time is always going to be there. And if you want to enjoy it, go for it. But if you want to manage it, just put some strategies in place. Don't just throw it in the too fuck it bucket and say, I can't do it. I'll deal with it in January. Rather than doing that, take the time to look at how your week looks and manage it accordingly. Okay? Prioritize yourself. It's okay to prioritize yourself. It's not selfish. It's selfless, because what you're doing is giving yourself an opportunity to be the best parent, the best partner, the best person you can be, because you're looking after yourself. Therefore, you're going to be more present, more energetic, more positive, more happy, and healthier at the same time. All right, I think I got my point across. Thank you once again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I just want to punch this one out because it's obviously a topic of relevance at the moment. It's very current and it's come up in a few conversations. I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity to share my thoughts on the matter to the wider public. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Please, if you feel that anyone is struggling with this at the moment, share them this podcast. Or even if they want to, get them to DM me or email me. I'm still working up until the 23rd, so I'm more than happy to have a chat. No obligation at all. If someone wants to have a chat just how to manage this next little bit, by all means, let me know, and I'll happily have a chat, and I'll be very transparent in my approach and how it looks for them. All right, so thank you once again. If you are interested in any coaching services, I'm still taking clients on over the next week and a half before I go on break. So if you want to get your 2026 started now and just get the fundamentals underway, and obviously, maybe train through the Christmas break. Maybe you've got some time off, train through the Christmas break and get some training under your belt. By all means, reach out, let me know. But for now, once again, as I say to every client, every single day, have a great day.